On an average week, you're able to get 10 FSBO appointments a week, 2 a day. What script are you using? What are you saying that's so compelling that these for sale by owners, Jazz says, yeah, sure, we'll meet with you.
Yeah.
Let's walk
Yeah.
through the strategy and the approach.
Basically, essentially, what I'll say is that, hi, my name's Jazz. I'm a local realtor. If a buyer were to come forward, would you be willing to work with a buyer's agent? And of course, they're going to say yeah. And I feel like a lot of agents make that mistake. They feel like, you got to get that listing over the phone. You're never going to be able to get a listing over the phone from a stranger.
What you're really doing is you're easing into a relationship like Absolutely. Normal human beings.
You got to put in the work. The brand will build it.
All right, so really quick, before we jump into the interview, if you hear anything in the interview that makes sense, it inspires you, it motivates you, and you'd like to have a conversation with me about potentially working together, I'd be happy to do so. I'm gonna put a link in the description right underneath this video, and I'll pin a comment in the comment section beneath this video. Feel free, if you want to, you can click that link, you can schedule time to jump on my calendar, and we can have a conversation on whether now's the right time for you to get into coaching. Either way, if now's not the right time, no problem. Watch the video. I hope you get great value from the content. And if you have any questions after the interview about any of the tactics or the strategies that we discuss, you can put them in the comment section. I'll be happy to get back to you. So let's jump into the interview. All right, you guys, welcome back to the podcast. Today, my guest is from Vancouver, and he's crushing it in the last 12 months in doing this. Earned over 6 figures. With me today, I have Jas Straw. What is happening? Welcome to the show, my friend.
Thank you, Ronan. Love to be talking to you. I think it was a long time coming to have this interview, and I love seeing like what's going forward.
Yeah, I love it. I love it. So we were just talking before I hit the recording. Just give people context. You're in the Vancouver market, but how long have you been actually selling real estate?
Selling real estate since June of 2021, latter part of June. So I'd say probably like beginning of July last year to about May right now in 2022.
So not even a full year yet, and you've already created a what will soon to be a multiple 6-figure income. All of the agents watching this are gonna be like, okay, how's this guy doing this? So let's start off with, first and foremost, breaking down the business model, if you will, as far as where are you getting the business from? What are the lead pillars that you work in your business?
So in the beginning, I didn't reach out to my sphere as much because obviously the credibility and kind of the backing in the business I did not have. So I did exactly what you noted, just going after for sale by owners, having a schedule, getting up early, getting to the gym, putting in the prospecting hours, setting up appointments, and just setting up the quantity of appointments, and just not having any expectations from these for sale by owners, just going in there and setting the numbers up, having at least I was trying to set up 2 appointments a day with these for sale by owners, Monday to Friday, and and you know what, I was able to snag up quite a few listings in the beginning, and then all of a sudden my sphere actually just started reaching out to me on their own. They noticed that I was doing business, I was getting listings, and then all of a sudden even my family and my friends were saying, hey, we'd love to hire you and take you on as an agent to sell our home or our investment properties.
Love it.
Yeah.
So for sale by owners, your sphere of influence is where most of the business is coming from. Is that right?
Yeah, absolutely. A little bit of for rent by owner too. I actually, the funny thing is I was able to pick up a 5-acre parcel over for rent by owner, which was kind of funny. And there was like a small tiny home that was about like 1,200 square feet. That one had a tough time kind of moving. But yeah, even for rent by owners, I was able to pick up a few listings.
Yeah, I love it. I love it. And so, and we're going to unpack everything, like how you're going about setting these appointments, what you focus on. We're going to get to all that in a second. Where are you getting your for sale by owner or for rent by owner? Like, where are you getting the leads from is a common question from agents in Canada.
For sure, yeah. And the thing is, in Canada, it is a little bit different. Obviously, in the States, there's Vulcan 7, there's Red X, and we do still have, I actually do use Red X. I do pay Red X, I think it's about $150 a month. And with that, they do pick up some leads off of classified websites such as Kijiji, not so much off of Craigslist. So what I like to do is I kind of tier it up. I know there's a lot of for rent by owners on Red X, which they're able to pick up. So what I do is in the first half of my prospecting, I go after for sale by owner. So I always go check Craigslist first.
Got it.
That's my number one go-to. It's kind of easy to navigate where you can kind of go directly by owner rather than by agent. And you know what? The guys and girls that don't have their phone numbers up, I'll reach out to their email, let them know that, hey, I'm a local agent. Would you be willing to work with, if we were to bring a buyer forward, and kind of just get that conversation going, get them to call me because that way I'm kind of able to retrieve their number and keep that,
Yep.
that line of contact. And then after that, like just set up the appointment, and from there on in, just the whole pitch that we usually use, right?
Yeah. So we'll unpack that one step at a time for sure. So that's great. So you're getting them from Craigslist, a little bit from RedX, which is great. And to your point, Vulcan 7 and RedX both supply for sale by owner data in Canada. So for people that don't know that, you could still do that. All right. So that's great. And so the other thing I want to just mention before I forget, you talked about your sphere of influence, and this is what's interesting. As you start being successful in the industry and you have evidence of that success and you start sharing that through social media, your sphere says, okay, now I think it's safe to work with Jas. Where when you start as a new agent, to your point earlier, they don't know how this is going to go. It's a massive transaction. So that type of business will continue to come your way, especially as you start to work it proactively. So let's break down just the daily schedule. And then once then we'll get into like the tactical things that you're doing with the for sale by owner. So break us down your schedule.
So I'll wake up around like a good day will look like I'll wake up around like 5:15 within that time. I'll get ready. I'll try to make it to the gym by like latest. I need a couple hours to myself in the morning usually. So I'll make it to the gym around by like 6:45, 7 o'clock. And I'll spend time in there about up until like 8:15. And then by 8:15, I'll come back, I'll shower up, I'll be at the office by around like 10:30 latest. And then start my calls. I'll probably be banging up calls from like 10 to around 2, 3, and then I'll set up appointments in the evening.
Got it.
And within that time, like say if like, I do have other things to do, such as like, making listing contracts, writing offers or showing properties or negotiating deals, that will kind of trump my prospecting, those 4 elements. But other than that, if I'm not doing those 4 things, then I'll be strictly prospecting on a good day, obviously.
Sure.
Yeah, that's kind of how the day looks like.
I love
later
it.
on, yeah.
So you got you're essentially you're focused on yourself in the morning so you can create the best version for your clients inside of your business is what you and I talk about, right? And so
Absolutely.
And then from 10 to about 2, you're working on outbound lead generation. You're working on revenue generating activities. And then in the afternoon, you're working on revenue servicing activities. And then in the evenings, it's really showtime. This is where you go on all your appointments. Now, during your prospecting time, on average, how many people do you typically talk with when you're prospecting?
It depends, honestly. Like I said, since these classified websites don't always have phone numbers there, it depends. It could be high as like the numbers aren't always as high as I'd obviously like them to be.
Sure.
But around a good day will look like if I'm even following up with leads or making calls, then it'd be about like 50 around there. But like some days the funny thing is like some days I'll only make like probably I say like 11, 12 calls, but I'll be able to even manage like 2, 3 appointments out of that because
I love it.
Just the scripts that you have set up for us, they're just so. I actually do use this one that you actually have on YouTube. It's not even in the playbook. It's the no BS FSBO script.
Yeah. So let's talk about that. So that's a good segue. So you're doing 50 outbound calls and you're able to really on an average week, you're able to get 10 FSBO appointments a week, 2 a day. Is that right?
Yeah.
All
That
right.
sounds about right. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, that's a lot of appointments, right? So everybody watching this interview is going to say, okay, let's talk about these appointments. So what script are you using? What are you saying that's so compelling that these for sale by owners, Jas says, yeah, sure. We'll meet with you. Yeah. Let's walk through the strategy and the approach.
Sure. Yeah. So what I use is like the no BS FSBO script. And that's obviously available online on YouTube through your channel.
Sure.
So basically, essentially what I'll say is that, hi, my name's Jas. I'm a local realtor. And then I'll kind of be like, if a buyer were to come forward, would you be willing to work with a buyer's agent? And of course they're going to say, yeah, right. Like,
Of
they're trying to
course.
sell the home. And then, you kind of just go through through the elements of the script. Sorry, I don't have it in front of me. I usually
That's okay.
just
We don't need to go through the script. I'm more
yeah, yeah,
curious. I want to have a conversation for the audience, Jas, around just your approach and what are you trying
yeah,
to communicate? Not the words. We don't need the words. People can go get the
yeah,
script, like you said, off YouTube. But
yeah,
how are you approaching the conversation that's
yeah.
helping you get, 8, 9, 10 appointments a week?
I'm approaching I'm just letting them know that, that I'm not there to get their sale essentially right now. I'm not there to get the listing. And I feel like a lot of agents make that mistake. They feel like, you got to get that listing over the phone. And
Right.
That's never the goal, right? And I think you preach that quite a bit, that like, your goal is to get in front of their face, right? Like that is the
Exactly
number one
right.
goal. Yeah.
So
And you know what? Like, you're never going to be able to get a listing over phone from a stranger. I've never experienced that. The closest thing that I've had is I've gotten face to face with an elderly gentleman. I've set up a FSBO appointment, and the person was so old that we just kind of sat in the lobby of the condominium. It was a high-rise condominium, and didn't even take me up to the condo. We just kind of sat down in the lobby, started talking to me, and he's like, "Okay, well, you just got to sell this place for me, right?" Like,
I love
and
it. I
I'm
love
just
it.
sitting there, and that was the closest thing. But never have I ever experienced like somebody just giving me a listing over the phone. So that's the number one thing to agents that I'd always preach: pick the phone and make the appointment. Do not try to make the sale over the phone. That never works, right?
Yeah.
Because you're selling a pretty big asset, and they need to see you there, right? Like,
Yeah.
they need to see the type of person you are.
Yeah, it makes a lot of
Yeah.
sense. So really your approach is you nailed it. I mean, what I teach and what you're just talking about now is there's no chance for you to list the house over the phone anyway, so we might as well not even apply that pressure. So everything you do on the phone call is designed to get you at their kitchen table, which is where you can preview the property, you get a chance to meet with the seller, you can walk them through are you walking them through like our for sale by owner backup plan? Is that so? Walk us through what you
Yeah.
do at the appointments.
So I'll go to the appointment. I'll talk to them. Get a sense of what what kind of investment this is. Like whether they're looking to keep this. Are they looking for is this a short term thing? Is this is this a long term thing where they're not in a rush to kind of sell their place or whatever the case might be?
You're
Because
really
then you
looking for their
sense,
motivation, right?
yeah. Like,
Yeah.
you got to kind of sense where they're at. And a lot of people, a lot of people, you'll start up these for sale by owners, and it'll be their rental properties, right? So either they'll be absentee, or it'll be a rental that's vacant, and the pressure's there. They need to sell, right? Because they're not making any income off the property. They're losing money now, and that you kind of use that for leverage, right? So you pick up their motivation, and after that, I usually actually pick up something. I know there's a different word for it in the a pocket listing. So
Yeah.
I'll get them under contract. So what I'll do is, hey, I'll be like, hey, you know what, my team and I we work with multiple buyers. But what I need to do is I someone need to actually secure my listing. Secure my my commission. And the best way to do that, and I also pitch this in. So this is something agents can use. Is that, hey, I'm actually not I cannot bring buyers forward and bring them to your property until I actually have this paperwork signed off.
Yeah, that's great.
And so what I do is I put that contract in front of them, and I'll even bind them up for as small as a couple weeks. And then I'll keep on hitting them up follow-up calls. I'll be like, hey, you know what? I have this person interested. I've talked to this agent, and they kind of see me working. And then I slowly transition that into a multiple listing contract.
Got it.
Because they see that I'm working, and they see me even marketing the property on my own end. I'll send them what I'm doing out there, and I'll slowly kind of transition that away. But yeah, it's funny because it's all a lot of the times with these for sale by owners, it's always started with a pocket listing. And sometimes I've even been able to bring other agents forward from that pocket listing. We call it an exclusive listing.
Yeah.
And then from that, I transition that into a multiple listing contract. I've sold actually quite a few properties off the market, just getting the pocket listing.
Yeah, I love it, man. It's a great strategy, and it works well because it's what you're really doing is you're easing into a relationship like normal human beings. Instead of trying to pressure, and the prospect saying, dude, get out of here. You're just doing one thing at a time, earning the trust, earning the respect, and then ultimately earning their business. And so Would you say that the vast majority of your listings and your closings and therefore your income come
Yeah.
through lead follow-up? In other words, you just said it a minute ago, like it's very rare for you to make one phone call, go on one appointment, get a listing and get it sold all in the same
Yeah.
day. It's
Yeah.
all through follow-up. Would you agree?
120%. Yeah.
Yeah.
If you're following up with clients, and you know what, a lot of, I think it's this innate nature that we're just, a lot of agents like, oh, I don't want to be following up, like, bothering this person. But
Yeah.
the biggest thing is I've never ever followed up with a person. I mean, here and there they might say, oh, like, I'd appreciate it if you don't call me back, whatever, right? Whatever the
Yeah.
case might be. But that's about the worst thing. I've never, it's never been that, oh my God, I'm gonna, like, never call this, like, never call again because I had such a traumatizing experience. No, it's I think what we got to realize is that's our job at the end of the day. If this is your job, like, that's what it is. You have to follow up with clients. You have to service your clients.
Yeah.
And if you're not, then you're not going to make it very far in this business.
That's exactly right.
Yeah, yeah. You're not going to, like, especially, I'm even noticing now, like, I'll have days where I, like, weeks, sorry, like, because I do the Monday follow-up, right? So I'll have, like, a week where I don't get, through my follow-up. But you know what? Even if you get through, say 30 contacts, they'll just be like, hey, Jazz, we want to go check out this property. Or hey, Jazz, you know what? We're actually thinking about selling your home. Can you come check it out? And then, we need to find something on the front side. And I've had that quite a few times just by, picking up the leads from one of my open houses that, like, I had from a for sale by owner. And then a great thing is I've sold for sale by owners properties, and, they turn out like, they want you, like, you sell their property and they want you, say, developmental properties, and,
All the time.
Yeah, all the time.
Yeah.
So yeah, your follow-up is the number one thing. Remember, like, real estate's not always on the back of everybody's mind until you put it in the back of their mind.
That's
right.
right.
And reach out back to them, and, they're just like, oh, you know what? Are there actually any properties such as that, X, Y, and Z? And you're like, all right, let me put you in a search for that, or I actually do have something. And all of a sudden, you're just like, oh, if I never made that call, I would have never known that this person actually wanted something such as this, right? So
it's always staying, like, top of mind, right? That's the whole key of follow-up. And I always make the argument, like, it's probably, if we really look at the statistics of most realtors businesses, like, it's probably upwards of 90% of their appointments and contracts and closings come through follow-up. I mean, it's almost a statistical, it's almost statistically insignificant about how much business you're going to get from, like, doing one thing, like one open house or one this or one that. But, agents are constantly, they're so attached to instant gratification. Like, they just want to do something once and, like, well, Jazz, I called the for sale by owner. I didn't get a listing. This shit doesn't work. It's like, dude, just chill. You gotta put some more into it. All right. So your follow-up is made up of, you do a weekly phone call, right?
Yeah.
Or is there any other pieces of the follow-up system I've taught you that you're implementing right now, or is it just phone calls?
Yeah. So I'll do the Monday follow-ups. I've done the Wednesday emails. I was very good at them up until the beginning of this year, and then about February struck around, and I've kind of been slacking, but I'm hoping to get back on that.
Sure.
Doing the Wednesday video emails. And then I do the Friday text. I'll update my sellers on the Friday. I'll let them know where we're kind of at. I actually have an open house today at one of my listings, so I got to prepare for that here in a little bit.
Nice.
And then, and yeah, like, weekends will be obviously reserved for open houses or showing properties to clients, right?
Yes.
So yeah, it's basically the three, like, it's basically the three, almost like three pillars, right?
Monday calls, emails, text.
Yeah, that's exactly it. Yeah. And if you know what, you keep running that course, especially in the beginning, I feel like running the course on all three of them is so much easier because, your pipeline won't be as big, right? When you're just starting off. So you're able to get through the follow-ups, you're able to get to that Wednesday, and you're able to make that email. And then, you're able to, text follow up with clients and update sellers. But obviously, as your pipeline gets bigger, it's harder to kind of strike on all three of them throughout the week. So you're kind of just stuck on the follow-ups for a couple of days and
for sure
getting through your pipeline. Yeah.
So, like, with the skills that you've developed over the last, call it 10 or 11 months, I remember talking to you when you were kind of first getting started, and, when you look ahead, that's what's really exciting. It's because you've had to go a couple months to build a pipeline, because what we just talked about, things don't happen right away. And so now that you're building a nice pipeline, certainly you're getting paid, But what's going to happen in the future? I mean, what are your future goals as you look ahead in your real estate career?
So right now, I think I probably do want to get it, like, we have something called a builder's course where, you're able to obtain like a builder's license and kind of, I do want to get into the developmental side eventually. This year, my numbers wise, my goal is, me generating at least $300,000 in income.
Sure.
And then having at least 38 listings sold. I don't know if I'll hit the 38 listings. I think it'd be more easier for me to hit the income goal.
Yeah.
Because I mean, the discrepancy in between selling a detached at say like, 1.7, 1.8 versus, a condo at 650K.
Right.
Obviously either, it's like a third of the commission, right? So,
Yeah.
I like, I have a couple detached that are closing this month, and it seems like I might actually hit my income goal, but the listing sold goal I'm a little bit off. But that's kind of my yearly goal: 300,000, and then 38 listings. And then overall in the long term, just eventually get into development. That would be probably the number one goal.
Yeah, I love it.
Yeah.
And to your point, as long as you hit the income, who cares how many transactions you do, right? I mean, preferably you do one transaction and you make 300,000, right?
You know what the funny thing is though, Brandon? Like I'd rather actually hit my sold goal than my income goal. I think the money comes after, right? Like
it's 1,000%, 100%.
Yeah.
You're spot on. So like when we plan, and you're right, because we can control transactions, we can't control commission or volume. So you're 100% right. But like in a perfect world, right? We sold one house and you made 400 grand, but it doesn't work that way. So just being a little facetious there.
You know what the funny thing is, I actually have like, the older realtors that have been part of the game for a while. They're just like, you know what, just pick that one transaction where you're going to make 150K in that year. And then all of a sudden you're done for the year. And like, then you just kind of hunt for that next one. The next year.
They go whale hunting. They never close any of the transactions. They end up being broke by the end of the year. Yeah. So what advice, let me just end with this, because you've given a lot of like tactical advice in which so many agents are going to appreciate, Jess. But like, if you could start over again, what advice would you give yourself that other new real estate agents that are going to watch this interview could benefit from?
What would I tell myself? Just keep making calls. I think I've been like, the funny thing is, I think right in the beginning, I think, because I actually knew about your program right when I got licensed.
Yeah.
And in the beginning, I was just following your YouTube, right? I was like, the no BS FSBO script. Honestly, great script. Any agent out there, use that script. You will always get improvement. Yeah, it's a great script. I know the playbook is awesome too. I don't use the playbook as much. With the for rent by owners, I do. But always with the for sale by owners, always use an OBS FSBO script. Always works. I think, you know what, Brandon? It's hard to think of a time where I don't get that appointment with that. It's
phenomenal, man. Yeah, it's great.
A really good script. So yeah, like number one thing is, just pick up the phone. Don't get lazy. Don't get complacent. There is a lot of money in this business, so it's very easy to see that. Hey, like like this month alone, I have 6 closings this month, and I'm like, oh, I'm gonna be living comfortably here.
Yeah.
Like So I like even in myself, I see complacency a lot, right? Like I have a hard time sometimes, getting up at 5 o'clock. So it'll push into 8 o'clock, and all of a sudden I'm losing out on my day, and where I could be getting a lot more done, right? But yeah, like number one thing I'll tell the new agents is get up on time. If you exercise, go exercise. Have some time for yourself in the morning. Ground yourself. And once you get that anchor down, then start on making those prospecting calls, right?
Yeah.
Really spend time on those calls and set up appointments. And the thing is, if you're setting up appointments, that technically you're working, even if you're not making any money. Like just tell yourself that, hey, like you're putting in the work, right? Like you're attending appointments, right?
Well, you're doing the activities that lead to income. It's just a matter of time. So yeah, you nailed it.
Yeah.
So
go ahead. Yep. Go ahead. Sorry.
No. I was just gonna say. I mean, like the only thing I want to unpack is. Like you talk a lot about, you got to pick up the phone. What would you say really quick to all these agents? It seems like making calls is the unpopular thing, and like making social media posts is the sexy thing. Like, do you think honestly, like, do you believe a new realtor can succeed not making any phone calls and just posting images from Canva all day?
Absolutely not.
Yeah.
Absolutely not. I read in a book here. I forgot what the book's name was. I think it's sorry, it's by Tim Grover. And I think somebody actually posted
Relentless, probably.
I think it's like the winning one.
The winning one, his new one, his new one. Yeah.
I have it in my room, but like I'm almost done it. I'm reading it. But Tim Grover says a thing in there, and he's just like, you got to put in the work. The brand will build itself, right? The work will build the brand. And the funny thing is, Brandon, like I honestly, like I've sold so many homes and I didn't even have a for sale sign, like, designed and everything.
Yeah.
You know, I had all these transactions by picking up the phone. And, some people would be like, hey, I just don't want a for sale sign. I don't want my neighbor seeing. So I never had a for sale sign.
Yeah.
I and like I was part of a team and they designed my for sale sign. And then, now I'm on my own and I finally designed my own for sale sign. But yeah, I made all these transactions. I made almost 17 transactions without a freaking for sale sign, right? Like, and,
exactly right. It's so funny. And to your point, that's why I got this sign made, do the work.
Yeah.
But like the reality is exactly what you just said. I think this is a great place to end. You just dropped a major nugget for people. Like I always tell the story where I think it was 2014 and I did 106 sales and I made like just under 700 grand. And I had no website, no social media, no nothing, no listing presentation, nothing. And all these agents that have like these sexy websites and all like the best logos, they're broke because they spend all their time on things that the consumer doesn't care about. Like I never got a listing or not based on the way my business card felt, like the material. Like they never cared about my logo, but these agents obsess over all this crap that just doesn't matter. And to your point, you did 17 deals before you had a sign. It's phenomenal. It's phenomenal. So dude, I appreciate it. Thank you so much. If agents want to connect with you, where's the best place to do that? Or can they find you online?
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I have an Instagram. It's j.sracc. I'm on Facebook, Jazz Sarah. I even have a TikTok, Sold by Sarah. So I'm on all social media platforms. I usually, when I used to do that Wednesday video email, which I'll probably get back on doing here soon. I used to post it on all my social media platforms along with the email. So
absolutely,
yeah, I'm on every platform. I think I even have a Twitter.
I love it.
Yeah, can find me on there. Shoot me a message if a new agent would like some advice on the program.
Sure.
Great program. I recommend it to anyone if they're trying to build a foundation. Great foundation, right? Like you know what your lead sources are. You'll tell them exactly the lead sources they'll hunt, and which is a big thing because I think agents do not know where to actually reach out for business. They get into this business, and then they get in. They see the shiny objects, money coming in, and dressing up nice, but they don't know exactly how the business works. I think selling sunset is a huge problem, huge thing where people get this misconception of what the work is, but that selling sunset is not what the work actually is.
It's not the reality. So,
it's not the reality.
well, dude, listen, I appreciate you very much. I love to see your success. I know this is just the beginning. My team talks about you all the time, and we can't wait to see where you get to in the future. And we're just really grateful to be by your side. So love to do this again with you in a year from now and kind of see where you're at. So thank you so much for doing this.
Thank you, Brandon. I appreciate that a lot.
You got it, man. We'll talk to you soon. All right.
Yeah. Cheers.
Take care. Bye now.
Yeah.